Hello everybody and welcome to my first ever video on this YouTube channel. Now today I kind of want to share a bit of a story time of something that happened, a warning that I got many years ago, and it all kind of led up to this really big day that happened and this big event, and it honestly has kind of got me shook. Now if you've ever had it before when you feel like you have that gut feeling that something's going to happen, or you feel like you've heard a voice that's in your head, and when we get that, we just think we're going mad, we're going crazy. But let me just tell you, you need to go and listen to that voice, because it's something that I should have done on that day. Now I'm going to start off and just kind of like set the scene, and basically it was like an April day, and I was about 16 at the time. I'm 25 now, so this is what, like 9 years ago. And we went and we was going on a family holiday in the UK. And if you're not from the UK, if you're having a UK holiday, the only way really for you to go and get there is by car. Like, you go and drive miles and miles and miles. And the UK roads, they're not just like motorways. You have to go down lots and lots of country lanes and all that kind of thing. And UK roads are just not built very well. And for you to get somewhere, even though it might not be that many miles, the windy country roads, they add a lot of time to your journey. Now the reason that we was actually going on this family holiday was because just before, like a couple of months before, my nan had passed away, and obviously we was all so like depressed and lost. Like, my nan was like a big part of my life, so obviously it was a big thing that was going on at this time. But we decided to go on a family holiday, which was going to be something that obviously we just all needed. Like, and also at the same time, this is something that I kind of forget that was so close, but my mum and dad had just gone and divorced at this time, so it was a real kind of like emotional challenge on my family during this time. So this like UK staycation that we was going to have was going to be like the best thing ever. Now it was in April, and I remember it was like during the day, but the weather was really windy, like a bit like this, to be honest. It was a really windy day. And before this, like, my dad was the one who always used to go and do like the drives. Obviously I couldn't drive at this time, so it was my mum who was doing the really long drive. And bless her, she done like the best job, considering she wasn't used to doing this like long journey. Like, at the end of the day, like, she got us there, but it was a lot for us. Now before I go like too deep into the story, I want to say that like with my nan, we used to always have like paranormal chats. Like, if I ever went to visit my nan was like very obsessed with like the paranormal world, and she'd like go to these like medium meetings, and like they'd go and talk to her, and she was like very obsessed with that. So for me, growing up, it was always something that was quite normalized. We like would speak about it quite often. And I remember like as a child, like, I mean, like talking like 4 or 5 years old, I would go and definitely see things, hear things, and I feel like I always was kind of made to feel like it was a bit stupid. Like, I didn't actually see it, it was my brain playing tricks on me and that kind of thing. But it was on this day in particular when I realised that it wasn't just my brain. Like, there was like a sixth sense that I had. So it was on our road trip. It was probably about 4 hours from my house for us to go and get to our holiday destination that we was going to. And literally the night before, and I remember this like as clear as day, the night before I'd gone and had really bad nightmares during that night. I remember literally having nightmares and hearing like banging noises, and I remember the banging noises that I kept hearing kept like waking up. When you wake up and you like proper like jump out of your skin, you're fully upright. It was like that, and I feel like that sounds so dramatic, but it was so extreme on that night. And I remember like I'd go to sleep, and it'd be like bang, and I'd wake up, and then I'd go back to sleep, and then bang, I'd go and wake up. So I was getting noises throughout that night. During the night, I kept feeling like vibrations. Like, I feel like my bed was vibrating, and this is when I was fully awake. Like, I definitely wasn't sleeping at this time. I 100% was feeling in my bed like these vibrations coming from my bed. And at that point, I remember just thinking like, there's no way I can sleep right now. And I remember getting out of my bed and then just going for like a walk around my house, like in my little house, but going for like a walk to try and just escape from that, because it was just so terrifying. terrifying. I couldn't quite explain what was going on. Obviously at this time as well, like I was a teenager, and I feel like I was quite aware. Like I didn't want to go and wake up like my mum. Obviously she was going through a lot anyway, obviously losing her parent, and obviously my mum and dad divorcing. So I just kind of dealt with it myself, walked around the house, and then about an hour or two later I went back to sleep. And then that's when I had my full-on dream or nightmare even of the car tyre blowing. And I remember actually in the dream, I wasn't in the car, I remember actually watching like from like the outsider's point of view, like standing like on the motorway and seeing the car tyre blow. And so then it comes to the day of our like big trip, and then I've gone and got into the car, and when we was like driving, I remember I was talking to my mum about like this nightmare, how I had the most awful sleep, and obviously I told her it, and it kind of was something that we just like laughed and joked about, like it was what it was, that kind of thing. And then it was when we was probably on like the third hour of our like 4-hour trip, that it was at that point when the car started making this vibration sound, like it was like vibrating. I remember the wheel of the car vibrating, and my mum driving with it, and mum was like, what is going on? Like it's so weird, like this has never happened before. So obviously we was like hour 3 of our 4-hour trip, so we went and pulled off at like a service station. I remember looking on my phone and looking at where the nearest garage was, so we pulled off, and then there was one at like this service station. So we'd gone to the garage, and then at the garage they went and like done like a thorough check of the car, and they was like, you know what, there is like nothing wrong that we can go and see. And we was like, but there's something vibrating. So they went and they took it for a test drive, and they was like, nope, there's no problem here, like nothing's wrong. So then we got back into the car. Obviously like the garage had told us that, so we thought, you know what, 100% it's gonna be like completely fine, like whatever, it's really, really strange. Now obviously for me, in my head I'm thinking, this is literally like a deja vu, like this has happened before, like I'm feeling it, I feel like I know what's gonna happen. So obviously we kind of had a bit of peace of mind because of the garage, so we got back into the car, started driving again, and then we probably was driving for about half an hour, and then the vibrating started again, and we was like, something is not right, something really is not right. But maybe we was wrong for doing this, but we did go and we continued driving because we thought it's only 30 minutes away. Now we come off the motorway, and we was now going down these really narrow country lanes. They're country lanes where like the speed restriction is like 60 miles per hour, but you're probably only safe to go and drive maybe like 30-40 miles per hour, and that's exactly what we was doing. I think mum was actually going even slower at this point because she just knew that, you know, something bad might happen. And then as we're driving, there's like piles of cars behind us, but the vibration has obviously started again. It was getting really, really bad at this time, and then literally before we even knew it, like it was really, really bad, but the car tyre on my side had obviously blown. So I remember literally making the bang sound, the same sound that I had in my dream. It literally made a bang sound. The car went smashing down on the floor on my side, the windows all smashed. It was honestly like craziness, and literally like I thank God to this day that none of us were injured. There were so many cars like behind us, and they wasn't part of the accident or anything like that. Like they slammed on their brakes, they didn't hit us or anything, but obviously the car that we was in was now completely written off, and we was like stranded in the middle of this like country lane. Now thankfully, like when I look back on it, like we was kind of like waiting, but we had like roadside recovery anyway, so they came like a couple of hours later. The people around us, like the cars behind us, were like so great, and they were like really helpful, and because it was really, really cold, we ended up getting from another car like their like foil blankets to kind of like stand by the side of the road because it was so cold and we didn't have that. But it just kind of got me thinking, like, is there such thing as obviously like a paranormal world? Because what was it like? Why was I having them dreams that night before? That's what I find really strange. Like, something was telling me on that day that, you know, there is going to be like a car accident, your tyre is going to blow. The sound was so accurate, the vibrations in bed were really accurate, and like, I still don't know what that vibration in bed was, because the vibration wasn't coming from anywhere, but it was almost like a warning. And then I start thinking back to like them conversations that I'd go and have with my nan about like the paranormal things and all that kind of stuff. Like, what was it? It must have been something. There must have been a sign. But yeah, that was kind of like a very, very short snippet of what actually happened on that day. I feel like I'm very, very open to accepting the paranormal, but on that day, it was literally craziness. Please let me know in the comments below what you think it was. Like, what do you think the vibrations were. Why do you think that went on? Like, why did the car have an accident on that day? Was it just coincidence, or was it paranormal? Like, what was it? I honestly have so many other stories that I really would love to go and share, particularly like when I talk about like my nan and things like that, because I feel like since that day when she passed, it's almost become stronger, this paranormal feeling that I've got, and it definitely goes and I think just proves that there is like an afterlife, and I definitely want to go and share that all with you. But thank you so much for going and watching this video. If you do want more story times like this, then go and hit the subscribe button, because this is just the beginning of my channel and I feel like I have lots more that I'd love to go and share with you. But go and sleep well tonight, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.